anybody hurt you in any way?
No, no one hurt me.
Okay, because, our goal is we just want to make sure that you're safe.
I don't, I understand that.
Glendale, Arizona, a town that felt safe, suburban, and routine. It was September 15th, 2019, and what began as just another Sunday quickly descended into a nightmare for the Navarro family. 14-year-old Alicia Navarro was gone. Her mother, Jessica Nunez, made the discovery. She'd gone into Alicia's room expecting to wake her for breakfast. Instead, she found the window ajar, the bed empty, and a handwritten note on the desk. "I ran away. I will be back, I swear. I'm sorry." It was Alicia's handwriting. Jessica's heart sank. Alicia had autism and struggled with anxiety. She was bright, thoughtful, and loved fantasy novels, but she wasn't impulsive. Running away didn't make sense. Something wasn't right. The Glendale Police Department was called immediately. An Amber Alert wasn't issued. Alicia had left a note, and there was no sign of abduction. But Jessica insisted something was wrong. She knew her daughter better than anyone. Investigators began their search. Flyers were printed, doorbells rang throughout the neighborhood, and digital forensics teams combed through Alicia's laptop, phone, and internet history. A picture began to form, one that hinted at online grooming. Alicia had been active in gaming communities and social platforms. Chat logs suggested conversations with older individuals. Investigators suspected someone had lured her out, but they had no name, no clear location, no digital breadcrumbs strong enough to follow. Jessica turned to social media, launching a grassroots campaign. Bring Alicia home. Her videos went viral. She spoke at rallies, posted daily updates, and begged the public not to forget. Her pain was raw, unfiltered, and it resonated. Still, no trace of Alicia emerged. As months turned into years, hope faded. Some speculated she had been trafficked. Others blamed the family. Internet sleuths dissected every detail, but the authorities had little to go on. Alicia had seemingly vanished without a trace. Jessica never gave up. Every birthday, every holiday, she lit candles, made cupcakes, and posted messages to her missing daughter. She believed Alicia was out there, somewhere. It was July 26, 2023. In a small police station in Havre, Montana, a quiet, rural town near the Canadian border, a young woman walked in off the street. She was soft-spoken, nervous, and hesitant. But what she said next would send shockwaves across the country. "My name is Alicia Navarro," she told the officer behind the desk. "I've been missing for 4 years." At first there was disbelief. The name rang a bell, but officers were cautious. They asked her to spell it out. They checked the missing persons database, and then it was confirmed. The girl who vanished from Glendale, Arizona in 2019 was standing right in front of them. She looked older now, 19 instead of 14. Thin, pale, and wearing glasses. She appeared unharmed but emotionally guarded. When police asked if she was okay, she replied simply, "Yes, I just want to go home." The call to Glendale PD came almost immediately. Jessica Nunez was informed by detectives. After years of grief, search efforts, media interviews, and prayers, her daughter had been found, alive. But this was not a joyous reunion, not yet. Alicia was placed in protective custody while authorities verified her identity. A photo was released publicly. She sat in a chair, arms folded, lips pressed tight. Social media exploded. Was it really her? Why now? Where had she been? Police confirmed her fingerprints and other identifiers. It was Alicia. But the mystery had only deepened. According to law enforcement, Alicia said she left home of her own will. She wasn't kidnapped, she claimed. She wasn't trafficked. She said she just wanted to be on her own. Investigators were careful with their wording. Alicia was now legally an adult, and she had the right to privacy. Still, there were clear signs something wasn't right. She had been living with a man in Montana, someone she had met online, police believed. That man's name was not released. His apartment was searched. He was questioned, then released. No charges were filed. The police said Alicia was not in any danger and was safe. But to the public, and especially to Jessica, this didn't sit well. Why had Alicia stayed away for 4 years? Why hadn't she called? Why did she reappear now, and what had happened in between? Jessica Nunez issued a statement thanking the public for their support and asking for privacy. This is not the ending we imagined. This is just the beginning of a new chapter. Please give us time. Online, the speculation was immediate and relentless. Some people accused Alicia of lying. Others speculated about abuse, coercion, or trauma. Advocacy groups called for a deeper investigation. Experts in human trafficking warned that Alicia's claim of leaving voluntarily should not be taken at face value. What was clear was this: the return of Alicia Navarro had answered one question, where she was, but opened a dozen more. After Alicia Navarro's sudden reappearance, all eyes turned to the apartment in Havre, Montana, the place she had been living for an unknown period with an unidentified man. Law enforcement quickly searched the property. Neighbors described seeing Alicia only occasionally. She rarely left the apartment. When she did, she kept her head down, never made eye contact, and never spoke. One neighbor noted she looked scared, like she didn't want to be noticed. Inside, officers found a small, sparsely furnished apartment. Alicia's belongings were minimal. Her room had no posters, no photos, just a mattress, a laptop, and a lamp. There were multiple locks on the doors and windows, and one disturbing detail: soundproofing foam was applied to parts of the interior walls. The man she lived with was described as being in his mid-30s, reclusive, and odd. He was brought in for questioning but quickly released. No arrest was made. Officials said Alicia didn't want to press charges and maintained that she was not held against her will. This statement baffled the public. Advocates for missing children argued that coercion and grooming don't always look like physical restraints. She may have believed she was making her own decisions, one expert said. But the influence of an adult predator can be deeply psychological. Further investigation revealed Alicia had maintained a low online presence while missing. Using pseudonyms, she participated in small online forums and gaming groups. Her online activity was minimal, heavily controlled, and strangely sanitized. One investigator said it seemed like someone was watching what she posted. Family members were not allowed immediate contact. Jessica Nunez expressed her heartbreak on social media. "I want to hug her. I want to hear her voice without a screen between us. I want answers, but more than anything, I want her to know she is not to blame." Meanwhile, federal investigators quietly stepped in. The FBI began conducting interviews, rechecking Alicia's digital trail, and speaking with people from her past. They hoped to map the missing years. Back in Glendale, the community that had searched tirelessly for Alicia for 4 years began to question everything they thought they knew. Teachers, church groups, and friends who had kept her memory alive now felt conflicted. Relief gave way to confusion. Why did she say she left willingly? Was she protecting someone? Or was she simply conditioned to believe it? Psychologists weighed in, noting that trauma, especially in neurodivergent individuals, can manifest in unexpected ways. Alicia's autism and anxiety might have made her especially vulnerable to grooming and coercion. And then came the biggest shock yet. Alicia told police she didn't want to go home. Not yet. She wanted time. She wanted to process. The days following Alicia Navarro's reappearance were filled with national headlines, speculation, and intense scrutiny. But behind the media storm, Investigators were quietly uncovering a chilling digital footprint that suggested her return was not as voluntary or as safe as it appeared. Authorities began to subpoena internet records, social media data, and communications tied to the man she had been living with. What they found hinted at long-term online grooming. Archived chat room logs showed a username believed to be Alicia engaging in regular contact with a much older user, going back to late 2018. Discussions included coded language, emotional manipulation, and references to meeting in person. Alicia, according to these logs, was emotionally vulnerable and expressed fear about disappointing someone she referred to only as M. More disturbing were images and metadata indicating she had been moved more than once during her years missing. Data from cell towers and a few sparse photos placed her in at least 3 different states between 2020 and 2023. Authorities suspected she had been passed between locations, or worse, between people. Still, Alicia refused to make accusations. When asked directly if she had been held captive or abused, she responded with a carefully chosen phrase, "I'm not ready to talk about that." To investigators, that said everything. Jessica Nunez remained hopeful but clearly distraught. Though she was granted a phone call with her daughter, the conversation was brief and strained. Alicia didn't say much, Jessica told reporters. She sounded like a stranger, but I could feel my baby inside that voice. At the same time, internet sleuths began to surface online identities they believed belonged to the man Alicia had lived with. Some claimed he was part of fringe online communities that traded in disturbing content. While these leads were not confirmed, they added pressure on law enforcement to investigate deeper. FBI agents searched a second location believed to be connected to Alicia's time away, this time in North Dakota. There they found a computer hard drive containing encrypted files. Digital analysts were brought in. The contents have not been made public, but insiders claimed they included photos of Alicia and other individuals, some of whom may still be missing. Yet Alicia remained silent. In therapy sessions provided by Child Protection Services, she was reportedly cooperative but emotionally distant. Experts speculated she was suffering from a form of psychological captivity, Stockholm Syndrome or something similar. Others argued her autism and anxiety could have made traditional interviewing difficult. Meanwhile, public opinion remained divided. Some saw Alicia as a victim, others as complicit. Many forgot she was just 14 when she disappeared. A child navigating a world she didn't fully understand, under the influence of an adult who may have exploited every vulnerability she had. Despite public demand, no arrests were made. No charges were filed. Police cited Alicia's refusal to testify and the lack of physical evidence as major obstacles. Her case hovered in a legal gray zone, emotionally harrowing, ethically troubling, but legally murky. And then Alicia made a quiet but powerful move. She deactivated all her social media accounts. The investigation into Alicia Navarro's disappearance was now entering a new phase. With Alicia unwilling or unable to fully explain her missing years, law enforcement turned their attention to data, specifically the encrypted hard drive discovered in North Dakota. Federal agents worked around the clock to crack the encryption. What they found wasn't just about Alicia. It was a maze of files, usernames, hidden folders, and disturbing chat logs that painted a much larger picture. One folder stood out. It contained photos of several teenage girls in various settings, some at bus stops, others at gas stations, some in what appeared to be low-rent apartments. None of the girls were identified at first, but cross-referencing missing persons databases started to reveal chilling connections. At least 2 of the girls had been reported missing in Arizona and Nevada between 2018 and 2022. Suddenly, Alicia's case wasn't just a singular tragedy. It was potentially part of a broader network. The man Alicia had lived with was brought back in for questioning. Again, he denied wrongdoing. He claimed Alicia came to him of her own will, stayed by choice, and left without resistance. But his internet records told another story. Multiple online personas were tied to his IP addresses. In several message boards, now taken down, he had posted questions about consensual captivity, grooming, and how to convince someone to stay emotionally loyal. Though not criminal on their own, these posts raised enormous red flags. Investigators traced additional digital breadcrumbs, burner phones, payment apps, and cryptocurrency transactions that connected to other locations across the Southwest. It was becoming clear that Alicia's experience may have intersected with a loosely organized underground exploitation ring. Still, the legal walls remained high. Without Alicia's direct testimony, charges would be difficult to stick. But the mounting circumstantial evidence put pressure on state and federal agencies to pursue parallel investigations in the cases of the other girls found in the hard drive images. Meanwhile, Jessica Nunez continued to speak out. Her social media was both a platform and a battleground. "My daughter is home, but she's not free," she posted. "And until she can speak her truth, I will speak it for her." Her posts reignited the public's attention. Advocacy groups mobilized. Hashtags like "Sound Justice for Alicia" and "Yung, Where Are the Others" began trending. Candlelight vigils were held, not just for Alicia, but for every missing child who might still be trapped. Experts began appearing on talk shows and news outlets, warning that Alicia's case reflected a growing pattern: the use of online platforms to manipulate vulnerable teens into isolation, dependence, and silence. One FBI profiler said bluntly, "They don't use chains anymore. They use validation, isolation, and fear. And they're very, very good at it." As law enforcement pieced together the broader network, they issued a statement. "This is an active, multi-state investigation. We believe other victims may be out there. We urge anyone with information to come forward." Months had passed since Alicia Navarro stepped into that police station in Montana. The public attention had dimmed, but her story was far from over. Now, the real work began. Rebuilding a life interrupted at age 14, and navigating the trauma no one could fully understand. Alicia was placed under the care of trauma-informed specialists and counselors trained to support survivors of long-term psychological abuse. These professionals took a gentle approach, allowing Alicia to open up at her own pace. Slowly, she began to talk. Not about everything, but about enough. She described feeling trapped, but not in chains. The man she lived with had controlled her food, internet access, and contact with the outside world. He used guilt, fear, and affection as tools to manipulate her. He told her if she left, she'd ruin her family's life, or her own. The grooming began online when she was 13. It was subtle at first. Compliments, shared interests, promises of understanding. Over time, it escalated to emotional dependency. By the time Alicia disappeared, she believed she was escaping to someone who got her. It took years before she realized she was in a prison with no bars. Meanwhile, the FBI continued its broader investigation. More missing girls were identified from the hard drive recovered in North Dakota. 2 were found safe, and 1 was confirmed deceased. Law enforcement made 3 arrests across state lines in what they called an interconnected grooming and exploitation ring. Though Alicia refused to testify directly against her abuser, her case helped break open a network that might have remained invisible. Jessica Nunez's pain had turned into purpose. She launched a nonprofit organization, Alicia's Voice, dedicated to online safety education and support for families of missing children. Her first speech at a national conference on missing youth ended in a standing ovation. Alicia, now 20, chose to stay out of the public eye, but she issued a short, powerful message through her mother's foundation. "Please don't treat me like a story. I'm a person, and I'm still healing." Her words resonated. They reminded the world that headlines are temporary, but trauma isn't. Alicia now lives in an undisclosed location, attending college classes remotely and continuing therapy. Her relationship with her family is mending slowly and carefully. "Trust," she says, is something she's learning to rebuild one day at a time. The man she lived with in Montana was eventually arrested on unrelated charges, illegal firearm possession and obstruction. While he was never charged with kidnapping, prosecutors believe that additional victims may come forward. The Navarro case has prompted new legislation in Arizona focused on digital grooming and mandatory reporting from online platforms. Lawmakers say it's Alicia's case that opened their eyes. The mystery of Alicia Navarro was never about just one girl. It's about the invisible dangers that lurk behind screens, the long shadows of trauma, and the incredible strength it takes to come home, not just physically, but emotionally. This is not the end of Alicia's story. It's the beginning of her reclaiming it.